So welcome to a very beautifully snowy Isle of Skye. So I've been absent for the last couple of weeks on YouTube. We've still been going out taking images, but had just a little bit of a break from making videos. The weather over the last few weeks hasn't been the best, and what we didn't want to do is just put something out for the sake of putting something out, basically. So we've had rain and strong winds. We spent a week over at Sligachan exploring Torridon, which was absolutely beautiful, fantastic part of Scotland. But yeah, more about where we are currently is we're facing the Cuillin mountains. So we had some time today, and we've literally driven across the Skye, and we're going to head back in the hope of capturing a pretty decent sunset with this beautiful covering of snow that they've got on Skye at the moment. We've got quite a bit of snow at home as well, but apparently Skye have had quite a lot of snow, more than they've had in a good few years. So we thought, why not come over? Now, hopefully you can see from the footage that the conditions are stunning, but very, very, I want to say dangerous. So we've walked up a little bit, and as we're walking, a lot of the paths are covered with snow. And based on our experience when we was at Rannoch Moor, where we actually went through the ice up to our knees, we're a little bit dubious. So we've been using our walking sticks just to feel ahead and make sure that the ground is safe to come up to where we have. We've only walked maybe 10 minutes or so, but it's better to be safe. So we've come out onto a little group of rocks here, and I don't want to go any further than what I am, because again, we've got snow over all of these big boulders in the foreground here, and it takes one slip. So not going to go any further. And whilst I'm relatively happy with the composition, I do wish I want to get in and amongst it, but it's just not safe. So basically on the composition, I've tried to fill the top third of the frame with the mountains and using two halves of the scene with these boulders and the river. Now, it sort of feels a bit unbalanced, because we've got this big sort of shelf ledge of rock here that's covered in snow that is entering the image on the bottom right hand side. On the other side, we've got a gap where the river is, and you can just pick up the stream there slightly. Now, I'm using the histogram just to make sure I'm not blowing out the highlights, which can be really easy with the snow, just to try and make things look a little bit more pleasing to me anyway, not to anybody else but to me. I've put a 6-dot filter in to try and smooth this water a little bit. I was hoping actually that we'd have icicles and all sorts of things hanging off the rocks, which we've driven past loads just by the side of the road. I do quite like the shot. There's just a lot going on, and I'd rather it be simpler, but I'm going to have to make do with what I've got from this spot. I'll put the landscape version up for you. I'm going to experiment with a vertical image and maybe trying to get some tighter shots. Now, we're about 20 minutes away from sunset. The sun has gone down, but what I'm hoping, we live in hope when we come out with the camera, is what I'm hoping is that these clouds are going to catch, whether it be pink, orange, I don't mind. And I'm hoping that it's going to reflect off the snow. The forecast for sunset was looking pretty amazing, and that's why we headed to Skye. So the snow with the sunset, winner winner, but who knows? I don't know what it's going to do. Looking at it, It is absolutely stunning, stunningly beautiful. Fingers crossed we get a little bit of something. We're not going to get any direct light whatsoever on the mountain because, as I say, it's gone down now behind. All we can hope for is that little bit of colour. So I wasn't overly happy with these first few images. We needed some colour in the sky really to give the scene a bit more depth. I also wasn't particularly happy with this boulder on the bottom left that cut into the waterfall, and we needed a little bit more height to get that separation. So the clouds are starting to light a little bit. We've got a little patch just to my right that is catching some sort of almost peachy orangey tones, and we're just now starting to get a little bit of colour in the clouds above the mountain. Now I feel very static. I feel that I cannot move. I keep eyeing up this little bit of rock behind me, and there's a patch just over to my right with two rocks that are almost like triangles pointing up towards the mountain there. I just feel very apprehensive about going anywhere else other than I'm stood. The light behind us on the mountains is really nice, and I'm considering taking a shot over that way. There's a little cabin, I don't know if it's a holiday rental or not, nestled in some trees just below the mountain, which is catching the light beautifully. So I think it's just going to be a case of I've taken a vertical image. I'll pop a little bit of footage up here for you so that you can see what we're looking at with the rocks. And it's almost that it's too messy. It feels very black and white, and of course because we've got the black rocks, you know, the black water, you know, the black just highlighted on the mountains there. There's not much else happening at the moment, and it feels very busy, very messy. So I don't know, I'm not sure that those shots are going to work out, but you know, look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. And to take any shots on Skye in the snow in these conditions, I don't care. I'm not bothered. I want them to be the best that I can, and that's why I'm going to just creep around a little bit just to see what we can find. So I've stepped a little bit higher and almost turned to the left a little. Now what that's giving me is it's introduced this other mountain into the shot. So I've turned the camera pointing in that direction and almost got the Cuillin mountains on the very edge of the right hand side of the frame, this mountain across on the very left hand side of the frame, the river running through, and I've still managed to get some of these boulders in the foreground. Again, they're not the most fantastic images, but I ain't gonna grumble. I'm not going to grumble at all. That colour now is looking pretty decent in the sky, and I'm just going to carry on taking a couple of shots. Now I have still got the 6-stop filter in, and I'm running a 30-second shot again just to try and smooth out this little bit of a waterfall here. What I don't want it to do though is distort that beautiful cloud that we've got above, so I may well take that filter off. As the ambient light dips, I'll be able to get probably, I don't know, a couple of seconds long enough to smooth the water. Now what's interesting on that shot is that we're starting to get a little bit of that cloud reflection in the river, so we're picking up the slightest little bit of pink in the water. Oh, please, 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 if it gets vibrant, this scene will be amazing. The reflection of the snow, the reflection on the water, with an absolutely magnificent scene. Okay, so what are we doing now? Wow, the sky is kicking off. It looks amazing. The cloud just needs to come over the mountain a little bit more. It's almost turning like a real vibrant pink, almost red above the mountains here. But again, as usual, I've got half the shot with cloud and half the shot without, which sort of makes it feel a little, again, a little unbalanced. Now, the other thing that I've done since I last spoke to you is I've been and put on the 20mm prime, which is a new lens for us. So I got this lens. Wow, I'm just going to need to show you this a second. I got this lens really for astro, but I'm just going to do a little bit of footage there for you and put it up on screen so that you can see these clouds. Absolutely beautiful, but as you can see, there's not very much on the left. I've got this lens to do some astrophotography. So we're coming into Milky Way season, and the Milky Way core is going to be visible from around, I think it's about the 11th of March. Trouble being that the core itself isn't visible till just before dawn. So anyway, I digress. I've got this lens to do some astro. It goes down to f1.8, and it's the first time really giving it a bit of a whirl. So you wouldn't really think that 4mm would make much difference, but it absolutely does. Oh wow, I wonder. May take a quick little panel just to try and get this cloud in. We've not really got much snow reflected, much of that cloud reflecting on the snow, which is a shame. Maybe if it was a little bit further around we might have gotten that, but it's beautiful. So I do think the colour in those beautiful clouds reflecting in the river gave the scene a lot more, and by having a little bit more height made the composition better, I would say. My favourite shot of the night was this one. So the sky lit up just as we were leaving into an almost purpley blue colour, which was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so the best of the light and best of the colour has gone. We're probably into blue hour now, and we're actually going to go and make our way across to Glencoe. So looking at the images on the back of the camera, I hope you've enjoyed them. At this point, as it stands, I'm not sure that I'm entirely happy with them. I think the difficulty trying to get the compositions in and amongst those difficult conditions, but absolutely stunning conditions at the same time. Sligachan and the Cuillin mountain view here is one of our most favourite places on Skye, and it would have been an absolute shame not to come and see it in the snow. So like I said before, you know, even if they're record shots, it's lovely to have just spent some time on Skye today. So the plan is to try and get a couple of shots of the castle. So Eileen Donnan Castle. We did take a couple of images a few weeks ago when we stayed at Loch Carron, and what I'm hoping tonight is that the water is in, that the tide is in a bit more, so that we get a nicer shot. So what we're going to do is we'll maybe catch up with you when we get across there. We've also got a window of an hour and a half when it's dark enough before moonrise, where there's a possibility of the aurora. I think it's very slim chance, but if it's there, we'll take it. So we're going to head back now, get back to the car and try and make our way across, and we'll see you across there. Okay, so we're at the castle, and what's difficult about trying to get this shot is that the light from the castle is what you're exposing for, so you're not blowing the highlights on the castle itself or in the water. But by doing that, making sure that you're not blowing the castle out, the sky and the water is very, very dark. So as it stands, I've taken 2 exposures, one for the sky to try and brighten things a little bit, and hopefully I can brush some of those highlights back. That's the plan anyway. There are a couple of stars out, not as many as I would have liked. No sign of the aurora just yet, but hopefully we might still have a bit of an opportunity.
Maybe.
So yeah, that's it really for this week's video. Hope you've enjoyed it. A bit of a look around Skye and this stunning castle. So yeah, we will see you next week.
Yep.
Maybe from Glencoe. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Take care. Adios.